Hi, I'm Dennis Gage. Thanks for tuning into My Classic Car, home of the certified car nut. Well, this week we're at National Parts Depot's facility in Ocala, Florida. Not only is this one of their 4 distribution warehouses around the country, but this particular one houses the car collection of NPD owners Jim and Rick Schmidt. Now, I've been here before, but these guys always pull out some cool stuff to look at when I come here. I just can't stay away. So joining me now is Rick Schmidt to tell us what we're going to look at today. Rick, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Great, and you know, it's great to be back. I do love coming
Yeah, it's
here.
good to see you again.
Well, you guys have cool stuff, like I said. What'd you line up for me today?
Today I've pulled out a microcosm of what I feel our car collection represents. I've got cars ranging from the 20s all the way through to the 70s, 6 decades, and what we're going to do is kind of a walk through the evolution of American car design.
Ooh, how cool. Now, you know, that's going to be a great trip through time, but you guys have got a really, really unique collection here. How many you do you have?
We've got roughly a little more than 150 cars here on premises, and it's just a eclectic collection of you name it, mostly American, 75% unrestored, extremely low mile originals. That's really what our focus is.
That's one of the unique things about this collection that's always struck me about. I mean, you got stuff that's never even been dealer prepped in some cases.
Yes, we've got cars back in the 50s and 60s that have less than 20 miles on them. We've got a 1940 Continental we're going to take a look at with 600 miles on it. We really go after the super ultra low mile stuff that's still in original paint, still the way that it rolled off the assembly line.
Yeah, there's just nothing like that, is there?
No, there really isn't.
You know, like I say, I can't wait for this trip through time. So, what do you say we get to it?
Absolutely.
All right,
Let's
man.
go.
Okay, so I guess we're going to start in the 20s with a case. Is this? I mean, this is a case, like Case tractors, Case implements.
Exactly. And people don't realize that Case actually made automobiles early in the century.
I didn't. So what's the history of this car?
This is a 1921 Case. It started its life as a touring. It was one of 3 cars purchased by a hotel in Colorado to be used as a livery, and this one was fitted with a fixed top by a Pueblo, Colorado coach builder.
Can I open it?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was their winter car with a winter top on it for transporting guests of the hotel wherever they needed to go.
Well, the windows don't roll down, but I guess it's cold.
It's so cold in Colorado in the winter. I think that was just the way they wanted it.
But you know, in the 20s, and this I guess a 21, right?
Correct.
You still had the look very much of a carriage.
Yes.
I mean, there's and it's very tall. I mean, it's a very high car.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we step up a decade, we get to what's perhaps my favorite car in your whole collection. This gorgeous Lincoln here. I just absolutely love this car. What do we have here?
This is a 1930 Model L Lincoln. It is a dual windshield sport phaeton.
Dual windshield sport phaeton.
It's a mouthful.
Yes, it is a mouthful.
Yeah, in 1930, if you were trying to pick up a girl in a nightclub, you really had
This is what you wanted, right?
You had a long time telling her what you drove.
No, really, this is what I have. But this, you know, it's beautiful. This is truly from the golden era of the automobile. This is a true classic. The lines are stunning. It's just
much more style, much more grace to it, and the Lincoln, while it was a conservatively clean design, still had all the style you could
Now,
possibly
dual
want.
windshield.
That windshield, actually, you can release the fasteners on either side and swing it back closer to the passengers, and the windshield's there to protect them from the wind, keep the ladies' hats from falling off, that kind of thing.
Welcome back to My Classic Car and Rick Schmidt's incredible collection of unrestored classics. But another milestone car that Lincoln did is right here, the Continental.
The Continental, and this is an extremely special Continental. This is one of our unrestored cars. This car has barely over 600 original miles on it, so it is the lowest mileage known Continental in existence.
1940.
Yes, 1940. That was the first year.
How do you keep a car this many decades with only 600 miles on it?
The original owner actually originally purchased 2. He had purchased a Cabriolet and then this hardtop, which is actually the rarer body style. They only produced a little over 50 of these.
Unbelievable. It says Lincoln Zephyr in a lot of places.
Right. Well, it was kind of crafted out of a Zephyr.
And turned into a
Continental. And he bought the second one as a spare because of World War II. He was concerned that if he needed spare parts
this was his parts car.
This was his parts car.
Wow.
So luckily his Cabriolet must have been fairly reliable, or he was able to get parts if he ever needed them, because the car remained untouched in his garage.
Unbelievable. But very, very European in its styling, very Art Deco.
Hence
in
the
interior.
name Continental.
Yes, but world class. I mean, you're up there with Bentley and Mercedes. It's just a stunningly beautiful car.
It's one of the more beautiful cars that really came out of the American auto industry.
Original. And you can see too, it's lower down than the Lincoln of the 30s. But if we take another step down, in height. We got this great Merc here. It's
We get-
I'm crazy about Mercury here.
Right. One of the original lowriders is '57 Mercury, where Mercury really did take another step forward in automotive design, really getting a low waistline, low roof line, and just a real knuckle dragging look to the car. Real gangster look.
Cruisers did love them.
Right.
Now this looks pretty original too.
This is another unrestored one. It's 100% untouched original. Paint, interior, everything.
So this multicolored, multi-fabric interior is what rolled off the line.
That's exactly how it rolled off the line. And this particular car is also equipped with the 368 Turnpike Cruiser motor. So it was the hot rod of the Mercury lineup back in 1957.
Yeah, and these things, they were hot, and this really was one of the lowest cars of its time, and it really set the tone for what everything that came after that would look like in some respects, or at least its stance.
Yeah, it was a landmark car.
And again, if you look up the line, it just, as you go back in time, they get taller and taller. But speaking of landmarks, probably one of the most significant cars in your entire collection is this one right here, the
really
63 Impala.
Yeah, this Impala is very special in that it is the actual 50 millionth Chevrolet produced.
Wow.
It is the car, and it was specially built to a higher standard of quality than what a normal assembly line Impala would have been. Because
beautiful color.
Chevrolet really wanted, they had a huge celebration, the press was there. Nelson Rockefeller drove the car off the assembly line. They wanted everything to be perfect, so the car received a show-worthy paint job from the factory. All of the seams in the doors, jambs, and in the trunk are smoothed in with lead for a clean look, and it is a perfect SS409, and it's only got barely over 100 original miles.
Really? So this one didn't cruise very much either.
This is a brand new 1963 SS409 Impala for all practical purposes.
With power glide transmission.
Yes.
It is just gorgeous. So we've gone from the 20s up through the 60s, but I actually came down here to see one of your 70s, my favorite 70s.
Every time I see you're talking
71
about that 71
Riv,
Riviera.
71 Buick Riv. It's just gorgeous.
Well, we're ready for you this time. We've got it all tuned up. I even charged up the air conditioning, so it is turnkey, ready to look at, ready to drive. Absolutely.
Yes, let's drive.
Okay.
Rick pulled out one of my favorites from his collection of low-mileage, unrestored originals. Oh, baby. Rick, 71 Boat Tail Riv. I love these. These are some of the wildest cars GM ever made.
It really was one of the most daring designs that GM ever put the green light to.
Now, it's very close to the concept car that preceded this a little bit. I think it was the Silver Arrow, but it looked a heck of a lot like this car.
Right, this car really is, it looks like a rolling concept car going down the road, and it's very impractical from a functionality standpoint. It's got huge dimensions, but very little cockpit space.
Four passenger, right?
Right.
Four passenger with two very small passengers in the back.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you know, gorgeous car, and typical of the cars in your collection, it's a low mileage, unrestored original.
Right, it's got 27,000 original miles, very well cared for miles, because that really makes a difference, and all original paint. It's pretty much the way it was built.
Just beautiful car, and you know, and the interior is very, I don't know, it's very sporty for something this big, and it's very intimate.
Right, it's a good mix of luxury and sport. They worked in the engine turned dash effect there.
That looks cool, and very, you know, very cockpit oriented.
Right, the center console. The tachometer there was a aftermarket tach that the original owner installed to sport things up a little bit. And I've got the console pieces to put that back to original, but I haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, all in due time.
It looks kind of neat there.
You got a few cars to work on anyway, you know.
Yeah.
Now, original interior too, unrestored here.
All original interior, the carpets, the seat upholstery, everything's unrestored.
Man, I gotta believe that's a good thing, because nobody's repopping parts for these. There just weren't enough of them.
There weren't enough of them, and there's even fewer left today, because through the late 70s and 80s, they were just an underappreciated used car. So
people just let them go,
many even just got driven into the ground. Yeah. So there are really no reproduction parts for this car. So if you don't have a good car to begin with,
you got a problem.
You're paddling upstream. Yeah.
Well, they only did this body style for 3 years, 71, 2, and 3, and I think 71 was the only one that had these wild louvers in the trunk.
And what they do, I couldn't tell you. I think they were just for styling
Just decoration,
purposes.
Huh? Right. But I think they went away after that. Also, I see that
it's hot enough today that we could probably cook hot dogs on there.
But you had a center butted seam there on the back
That was
window.
a one-year only thing also. It's a two-piece glass that's bonded in the center, and from what I've been told, from rear-end collision testing or practical experience, they were finding that the two pieces of glass were losing their bond and then jettisoning right into the
that can't be a good
compartment.
thing. It just no, definitely not.
You'd either want to be short or
or you would be short.
Right.
All right, big, massive Buick. I gotta believe it's got a big, massive Buick engine.
Yeah,
under the
it's
hood.
got the Top Gun, the 455 4-barrel in it.
Let's pop it open, have a look.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one long hood too.
Yeah. Takes a couple of front car springs to hold this
Heavy
one.
duty. Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful. Now this is a 455 cubic inch. Buick had finally converted to telling the truth about how big the engine was.
Right, exactly. It's a 455 cubic inch instead of in the past.
Foot-pounds of torque is what they used
Right.
to. Like 445 was that was foot-pounds torque, but this is 455 cubic inch. Now it looks like the engine's had a little freshening done to it.
Yeah, it's all original under the hood, but we did repaint the valve covers in the block. It was one of those snowball effect types of deals where we needed to fix a water leak by the timing cover, and once we had everything disassembled on the front end of the motor, it just made good sense to freshen that up. So that we touched, but the firewall and all the aprons and just all the accessories that you see in and around the engine compartment, that's all original.
Well, I mean, it looks great inside and out. How does it run? Just drive?
It drives as great as it looks, like a
let's-
brand new one.
Let's button it up.
Alrighty.
I mean, you pretty much know the drill. This is the time of the show. I say, hey, let's take this out for a drive, but let's cut to the chase. What do you say I drive it this time?
No problem.
Man,
You're welcome.
Let's go. Ooh, cool door handle too. Welcome back to My Classic Car. Rick's 1971 Boattail Riv is really a unique car, and I just couldn't wait any longer. Life is good. This is an amazing cruiser. This thing is so smooth.
Yeah, it drives very smooth, and because the car's never been apart, it's got low miles. It really does drive like a new one should.
You know what's different though, and every time I get into a car of this era, first thing I recognize is how little the steering wheel is. It feels great. When I was a kid, I remember seeing these things go down the road, and there was nothing like them on the road. They just looked awesome.
Yeah, when I was young, these cars always caught my attention right away. If you saw one going down the road, that was the car you were looking at because it was just so unique compared to anything else you saw.
And they had that, with the way the thing's laid out, it's just this, everything was so futuristic back then. So you get that kind of Starship cruiser feel out of it.
It was one of the more exotic cars on the road.
But like you said, I mean, it is not very practical. It's a 4-passenger car.
Yeah, and the trunk isn't very large, and look at how much hood you have out there in front of you.
You could land a small aircraft on that hood. It's just amazing. But this is a car that, it almost looks like a lowrider without dropping it.
Yeah, it does. They're very popular along hot rodders and custom car builders because
it does customize well.
They're radical stock, and they're just unworldly when you really start playing with them and putting on the brighter metallic colors.
Yeah, a set of 20s on this.
Yeah.
Great. Not that it really mattered back then, but with the 455 and this thing, it has to weigh 2.5 tons.
Easily.
What kind of mileage would this have gotten?
Oh, I would guesstimate somewhere between 8 and 10 in the city and 14 to 16 on the highway.
If you're behaving
It'd
yourself.
be typical if you're behaving yourself.
But again, at 30 cents a gallon back then?
Back then, it wasn't nearly the issue that it is today.
Oh man, what a cool ride. I love coming down here, Rick. Not only do you have great cars, but you let me drive them. Oh, man.
It's good for them to get driven, so whenever you feel like coming down, just tell us what you'd like to drive. I'll get it ready for you.
We could be doing this for a long time.
There's a lot of cars to go through.
Let's talk about it on the way back to the shop.
All right,
All right.
let's go.